Paul. First, I think I should ask your permission for using the content of the interview today as a few notes in my paper and further publication. All the documented information will be only used for academic purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. As planned, I have prepared some questions mainly focusing the project of Venedig på Domkirkeruin i Hamar. Besides, as an architect, I'm also very interested in how Lund plus Slatto architects work before and today. So I also prepare a few more questions on that.
Sure.
Yeah. First, Paul, could you briefly give a self-introduction to your personal backgrounds and your role in the firm and in the project of Venedig på Domkirkeruin i Hamar?
Yeah, sure. Because the competition for this project was actually done before I started in the office.
Yeah.
So the concept for the building, really, I have to say the formal overall concept is very much Kjell Lund's work. When I started in the office in 1990, and I was quickly involved in many other competition projects, and not so many years later I was partner, and I was gradually taking over Kjell Lund's position in the firm, and I've been the head of the office for now, I don't know, 20 years. So this is my position. It's I have been both CEO, isn't that the English word? I mean, managing director for the firm, but I've also been, the head of the architectural sort of development of the company. So, but as I say, the competition was won before I actually started, and then they did develop the project to a kind of pre-project, but it was then decided, I think mainly for financial reasons, that it couldn't be done at that time.
Yeah.
I don't think it was only financial. There were quite a lot of uncertainties about the project, technical uncertainties at that time.
Yeah.
And when it became more, then there was some
years. So you went
years.
to a company in 1999? 1990?
89, 90.
Yeah, from the literature reading, I know that the winning scheme of Lund plus Slatto was selected from 52 different proposals at the end of 1987.
Yeah, exactly. And as I say, they developed this project, the competition project, into to a pre-project level during those years. I'm not quite sure before I started, but there were quite a lot of risks involved in the project. I think technical risks and the financial situation were unclear. So nothing happened with the project for quite a few years.
It's 10 years.
10 years, exactly. And so when it was more, when they took the project forward again, and they were interested to it's always a financial situation. It has to be part of the budgets, the main budgets in the country and so on.
Yeah.
But when we looked at it again, I started to have the main responsibility for the whole planning process, and I could quickly see that the pre-project had many difficulties. So we really scrapped the pre-project totally.
Yeah.
So we went back to the basic design, the overall design, and really designed it again completely.
Yeah. Okay.
We didn't use the pre-project at all.
Oh,
because it was.
That's
there
interesting.
There were many difficulties with that, you know, Kjellund was really a very conceptual architect. He was not a detailed architect. He was not really that. He hadn't really got that kind of competence. He was a fantastic architect, as you know, to make a conceptual answer and win the competition. But when it came to the detailing, he let others do the detailing, and it was really. I'm very happy, and he understood it also after a while. We were both very happy that it didn't come to fruition earlier. Because that would have been. We're not quite sure if that would have been a good project, either technically or even architecturally. So we really started again, and you can go back and see there is nothing. You know, actually, we didn't use any of the technical solutions from the earlier project.
So compared to the original one, what is the biggest difference on form and details?
It's a long way back now, but it was actually the biggest difference. You know, the whole construction principle was actually different. As it was. This is, I have some literature where the old one is shown, and the old one was based on a three-dimensional grid for all these sloping surfaces. So it was a three-dimensional grid of aluminium tubes. When you look at this, you have all the main construction is really a simple one-lined
parallel
to the transsexual section. It's so because it's a double curved surface, but a double curved surface of this kind is really it consists of just straight lines being moving in a different sloping angles. So in a way it's a simpler and cleaner geometry. The problem with the other one was that you got so much loads into the system, so it became very. There was just so much material in the construction, so it didn't really become very transparent. You had too much interference.
I see.
So it's, in a way, it's a theoretical, quite interesting way of doing it. But then you had, the constructional distances became too long because in this big area, the whole area was self-supporting.
Oh wow!
So it was a huge construction, and then it became too much, too many tubes, really. So it both became expensive, but it also didn't really work very well because transparency was, of course, of the utmost importance of the whole concept. But it was also to do with they actually didn't have this planar solution for the glass. They actually had a conventional profile system in the first. So it was a combination of both the main construction and the glass solution. So the glass solution became also it was then. So the first pre-project didn't consist of these clean glass surfaces. You had profiles all the way. On the outside.
But being transparent, what's being transparent or a factor that's stated by Clance, or is it invented by architects themselves? I mean, being transparent to the ruins, the construction.
Well, to have the ruin visually present in the landscape and in the situation was, of course, very important for us. So we didn't want to. I mean, it is of course a very interesting play between the new building and an old ruin.
Yeah.
So, but it's important to actually see the profile from a distance and from outside. Of course, with a glass building like this, the transparency changes a lot with what kind of weather, what kind of sky, like you have a sun or a grey day, and also, of course, it changes very much from which view and which angle you look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
As you come alongside the glass, of course, the reflection is very high, and the transparency is lower. But when you look more directly at it from the side, the transparency is higher. But so this is a balancing situation. But it's important that the balance should not be too, make it too confined that you could all. Even in the feast, it's a long time since I thought about the early pre-project. But it's interesting to think about it again. But so there were really three main elements. The whole constructional principle, it was the glass, the glazing of the project, with the visual. But they also thought about, I don't know if that was I think they also had actually got insulated glass in the first project. And of course that was also a big problem both for the transparency, because when you have two layers of glass, it's less transparent, but also because of the weight. Because the whole construction then had to have this take the 50% more weight.
True. Yeah, that's very true.
So this is one of the first things we questioned. Why do we actually need to have the isolated glass? Because the main focus for the project was to preserve the ruins. This has always been a sort of two-sided affair, because the actual client in this project were not. They were concerned with the conservation aspect.
True.
It's the Riksantikvaren of the Norway, the official. What's it called? The authority for preservation.
You can put in Norwegian.
They were the clients, and they were not concerned with how the building was going to be used. So this was a strange situation because, and afterwards it has been called the Hamar-domen. And it's used very much as a church building. And it's been used also for concerts and so on. And special occasions. But
actually, actually that's a part I've been quite amazed that this space of building is a fitting for diverse functions. So
that's very interesting. Excuse me for interrupting, but that's very interesting because the client didn't have this focus at all.
Okay.
The Riksantikvaren. They said this is a preservation building. Our job is to preserve the ruins for eternity.
So what is the institution of a client? Could you? It is not Hedmark Museum. It's
no, it's the Riksantikvaren. It's the main national authority for preservation of buildings.
Okay, I see.
And then Statsbygg, Statsbygg, it's the main authority for building activities. They became the official client after a while because they take all the big projects in Norway, official business, and actually are responsible for the realization. That's the one who are building the opera house and the museum, the big national museum. So Statsbygg came on the part of the authority for preservation and actually did the project. But all along the museum, of course, they were they were the ones who were going to administer the building after it was done, so they were very much involved, but they were actually not the client.
Yeah.
But they were very happy with our approach because we wanted to and Kjell from the start, the whole concept is is actually to do a building that was not only a technical preservation building, but also had this spiritual at the spiritual aspect of a church building. Actually, this was part of the idea all along, but it couldn't be said out in a way publicly. If you understand what I mean, because the preservation authorities, they always, repeated this mantra that this is a preservation building, it's not a church building. So it was in a way a strange balancing act that Kjell and myself, we were very much concerned about the spiritual aspect, because that has something to do. This is not only because we wanted to make a church, but it has been a church, and that's a part of the ruins' character. So to preserve its character, you had to do, we felt, a building that had this element in a modern way. It wouldn't be right just to put a completely neutral technical building around it. At the same time, neutrality was something we were much concerned with, and I think that the main shape and the main form and the main space, not least the space, you can see that directly, that it is a cross-shaped building, and it plays to, and it explains in a way explains the old ruins church form. This is absolutely obvious when you come to the church today, but if you had seen the ruin before it was, before this building was built, it was actually quite hard to see what was the main axis, because it's a completely asymmetrical ruin. You only have the one arcade standing, and so of course the overall design of the building had very much to do to as I say, to explain and to give an understanding of the old building, but also to make a space inside that had this reflection of the old space. It's not clear cut, but the main vault, and because it was given this round shape, circular shape, semicircular shape, it is a reflection of the old church having a semicircular interior space. It was a sharp exterior shape, as all Norwegian buildings, because of the rain and the snow. But inside it was this semicircular main apsis. So, but it's very interesting because it's so we had this semicircular, but and really explaining the old church interior or room, but the rest of the shape is of course not directly connected to the old church. It's more, so it's a combination of the church and the reflection or the idea of the old church, and then it's a combination with that and also the landscape, really, because it's really the whole overall shape has very much to do with the landscape, these soft curves, the soft landscape, and it takes, this asymmetrical form. It plays to the steep slope on the northern side and the not so steep on the southern side. And but the landscape is twitching, and so the whole building is twitching. And then it's a practicality of actually this sacristy. this asymmetrical shape helps to to give room for this.
Yeah. And it was said that the height of this secular structure is also exactly of the height of the old church.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
So there is nothing really, it's more like the idea of the old church.
Yeah,
but it's not. The old church was something completely different with 2 towers, and you have seen some of the old. So I have quite interesting book for you. Maybe I want to feature the picture. I think it's maybe it's here actually. But I will see if I have it, because they produced a book after it was completed about the whole process.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No, I don't think so.